Brad from TrueFire. Welcome to this broadcast of TrueFire Live. We're streaming live here with Chris Buono. I'm really excited about this one. And we're streaming from the new studio. We actually have glass now, a control room, the tracking room. So we're making really, really good progress here. Chris Buono, we call the Professor of the Deep. We've been working with Chris, I think 2008. We've done close to 40 courses with him, and he's just has always amazed me with his very, very deep knowledge base on virtually any topic to do with music and guitar. If you look at, if you search Chris Buono on our site and you go look at his catalog, he's covered, I think the first course was Funk Fishin'. He also did one of our first licks you must know. He did the 30 rock licks. He did 30 metal licks. It's just an incredible catalog, and he's also kind of the genius behind Guitar Gym, which is one of our most popular kind of technique building series. There's several dozen of those. He's also authored 8 books out there and has several bestsellers amongst those books. He is, or was, a Berklee professor, sought after NYC guitarist, has toured all around the place, played with everybody and his brother. We love the guy, and we've worked together so well over the years. Finally, he's here doing 3 new courses. We'll tell you about those in just a minute. But it's a real pleasure to do this live broadcast with him today. Chris, can you stop being funky for just a moment and talk with us?
I was having fun with my kill switch.
Hang on a second. I got to turn the audio down on my computer. All right. How are you doing today, man?
I'm doing great. I just had an espresso, so I think it was a double shot according to Kyler. So if I start talking really fast, just
yeah, it's pretty good.
Remind me.
Java beans here, I can tell you that for sure. So you've been pretty busy here. The last, we're in day number 3. We're doing 3 courses, right? These 3 courses bring it to how many courses altogether?
Exactly 39.
Exactly 39.
Exactly 39. That's including 15 guitar gym, 1 in the jam, and the golden 10 from the early years, as well as some other ones that have happened in between.
Back in the days of 4/3, right, standard definition.
Back on 9th Street, actually, going back to at least the first studio I saw.
Yeah, and those courses, they still hold up to this day, man. They're still very popular.
Cool. Still helping feed those kids.
Yep. Speaking of which, so you're married. You have 2 kids. I remember, pictures of them when they were just, right?
Right.
And he just showed me pictures last night at dinner. They're like, what did you call them? Adults?
Right. Men. Right. They're men. John and Will are men.
Amazing.
Because when you first started seeing pictures of them, they were 6 and 4 years old.
I know.
And now they're 16 and 14 years old.
Yeah, that's just crazy, man.
Yeah, it is.
Crazy. And, it's pretty amazing. I tell you this all the time. You're, extraordinarily lucky to be able to do something that you love, have a passion with. And the way you've organized your life as a musician allows you to be a great father, be very present, and still do all the things that you love to do, Very lucky, man.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I definitely consider myself very lucky. But that's in large part to a very, very understanding wife, to be able to do what I do. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it wouldn't happen without her, no doubt.
Yeah, well, it's a big difference from, there's a lot of guys that come in here, their thing, takes them on the road 200 days a year, 200. It's very difficult to be, a father and a husband under those kind of
Yeah,
conditions.
all the power to the guys that make it happen. That's great.
And many of them do.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Let's talk about the 3 courses you're
Sure.
doing here. We've got a lot to cover in a short period of time. But before we dig into that, want to thank everybody who's watching out there today. And if you're on the chat, we would love to hear where you're viewing this from. We're always amazed at the different countries, the different states. So shout out, let us know, where you happen to be and what time it is there, because that always blows my mind too, all of the world time zones. And while you're at it, or any time during the broadcast, we want you to feel free to ask Chris any questions you like, about any of his courses, or, I'll bet you Chris could answer pretty much any question on any music topic, okay? I want to put you on the spot. That's why we call you the professor of the deep, man, okay? Anyway, so what are we doing here? The 3 courses we're doing, hang on. We did 30 funk rock riffs.
Yes.
We did Take 5 edition on legato. And we did a trading solos on funk. So let's talk about rock riffs first, okay? Tell us a little bit about, what is funk rock? How would you define funk rock?
Funk rock is the combination of the attitude, that visceral power in rock, and all the fun swagger and syncopation of funk, melted into one thing. It is totally propelled by distorted guitars, from its inception to its peak to what it is today. Funk rock is definitely based in the guitar. Funk is based in the rhythm section, but funk rock is the rhythm section plus that distorted guitar. So these riffs are 30 riffs, that I think are great funk rock riffs to play. They're all ones that I've lived from the time of studying them to, being a young guy in the 90s when all this stuff was happening, because there's a lot of that in there. More than half the choruses pulled from stuff from that era. And I love playing funk.
Yeah.
And I love this part of it.
What's amazing about, and this isn't always the case with when we dip into, like, say, past decades, but, some of those old funk rock licks and riffs hold up to this day, are still being played to this day,
Yes.
Why is that?
That's a good question. Well, they're fun to play. That they're sometimes you gravitate towards playing them because they're a lot of them are in E minor and F sharp minor, and I talk about that in the course. And I was very careful about how I chose them. But the E minor ones, you have them where it's just so organic to play those E minor riffs right there, and there's countless amounts of them. I did a lot of them, but they all have a unique character, and I focus on that on the course, in the course a lot. Whether it's where the staccato is, the arrangements, how the flat seven's being treated, all that stuff. And then the F sharp minor stuff has its own bite to it that's very unique. There's a uniqueness to that too. So both of those zones, they fall into your hand really good, and they just sound so mean and awesome.
Is it the having those open strings to kind of fall back on or use that?
Sure. Especially the low E, because the low E will act as the root for E minor, and then it'll act as the flat 7 for F sharp. But then, and the open strings play a part in both of them. And not all these are just in F sharp and E minor, but I'd say about 85% of them are, and for good reason. You see, and what's pretty cool is how all these players found ways to take this and do something unique with it.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
You want to play a couple from the course? Give folks a little taste.
Yeah, let me get some sounds here.
I wrote down a few of my favorites, like number 9. I'm not sure what you called it, but can you do
number
that
9
one?
is
I'm
Ink
putting you on
Master.
the spot here.
Ink Master. Well, I just shot it yesterday, so you asked me that next week.
All right, well, let's see if you can do it today.
But this is Ink Master is pointing towards Dave Navarro,
Okay.
Jane's Addiction, and
Tommy, do you have that track handy?
I have it ready.
All right. Very nice.
I mean, how's that not fun?
Well, you pulled that off. How about, let me throw another one at you.
Okay.
21.
21, I know what it is. 21 is 311. It's a 311 riff. And we went, and we spanned the decades and stuff like that. So Ink Master was, the tune Pigs and Zen is where Ink Master was inspired from. That's late 80s. This is like mid 90s and stuff. Let me get my bearings on this one. Okay, yeah. Tommy, you want to hit that one? I listened to that record and that riff so much as a kid. I probably, if any of my friends from back then are tuning in, 311 Music, that album. Oh,
Yeah.
man. Yeah, there's a lot of time.
You
we all
love
spent
this
listening to.
style, don't you?
I do. I love funk music altogether, but I mean, these riffs a lot of them are very close to home.
Who's playing funk rock today? Guitar.
Some of the
guitarists.
purveyors are still, I mean, the guys, like,
Yeah.
Living Color
Yeah.
is still alive and well. Vernon is still out there doing his thing. They just did a gig last night, actually, at the Brooklyn Bowl, and headlined with Fishbone.
Is that right?
And we do a Living Color riff here. We do, I did a Fishbone riff too. I believe 311 still tours.
Yeah.
Red Hot Chili Peppers, of course. They're still out there. Screaming Headless Torsos are still doing their thing, and they now have a fantastic new vocalist, Sophia Ramos. And as for the new stuff pushing forward, there's a lot of hip hop that's still incorporating that, but not as raw. But I tell you what, you hear funk rock stuff and guys like, what the guys in Snarky Puppy are doing. I mean, it's not this 100%, but the elements are there. I've sat in with those guys twice, which was fantastic. And both times we played a tune called What About Me? And it has this mean ass section in it that is just, so... pretty funk rock to me, and and the drummers that they have in the band, these thundering guys in the back, it's powerful, it's amazing stuff. So it's definitely getting pushed forward with younger musicians too.
You can pick play one more lick. You pick.
Okay, I would say the modern guys that are out there now, they have earned their right as the grandfathers. Not that I'm aging them, but I got to do a Living Color riff. I believe that's actually number 22, if I have that right, Tommy. Yeah, and this is, and I got to pay homage to my good friend Vernon Reed. Shaolin refers to, that's what he calls home. We don't live that far away from each other, and when he returns home, he starts seeing pictures on his Instagram page, and he's always referring to Shaolin, and it's where he lives, around the neighborhood in Staten Island and stuff. And this is let me play it for you first. Let me see if Living Color fans, see if anybody can chime in and tell me what it is. Want to hit that track, Tom? back in the groove of that one.
What's your dad's name?
My father, Louis Vincent
Who is
Buono.
John Buono?
That's my son.
Okay. He says, "Sup, Dad? Shout out to your son."
Yeah. I'll be home later.
So, first, tell us, what is the difference between a riff and a lick in your mind?
Okay. Well, I mean, right on the surface, we can generalize riffs as what I just played. Oh boy, that was a little chunky. Low register, wound strings, something that holds some weight that you can build a foundation on. Something that sounds great repeated. Something that can have a vocal melody sung over it. Whereas a lick is, a lick is more freeform. A lick has got more pizzazz sometimes, and it's usually also, doesn't have to be, but a lot of times it's on the unwound strings. It's in a higher range. There's more expression in a lick. There's more spontaneity in a lick. It's not saying that a lick can't be down here. I wouldn't present that to a singer to sing over. Maybe I would have to tweak it. Where on the other side of the coin, I could play a riff up here. I'm trying to think of something if we did it in the course. Something that's high register, because a lot of it is just, growling meanness. But, if I had something that you can grab onto,
So it's something that's repeated, could be part of the main structure of a song, build a song around it, in fact, right?
Yeah. Something that definitely you can immediately feel like you can grab onto it. If you could play it again twice in a row, it's leaning towards a riff.
Okay, cool. That's a good definition. So last night over dinner, or after dinner actually, you played an album that you've produced and that you play on, right? And the song you played, you said you happened to mention, just as an aside, I see, hear that riff, that was on one of my courses. Could we share that with everybody? Just a little bit of the song?
Just a little bit. These are first round mixes. They're not rough mixes. These are first round mixes, but they were done by Nick Hard, who is a 3-time Grammy-winning mixing engineer. And so his first mixes are pretty darn good. We'll take a little sneak peek. Sure. This is from a project I call Red Right Return.
But hold it. Before you do that, I kind of want to illustrate with that song, like what you do. Let's say our licks you must know courses, or riffs you must know, or rhythms you must know are like vocabulary courses, right?
Yeah.
So, people are always interested. Okay, great. I built my vocabulary. Now what can I do with them? So we've done solo factory courses where we show them how to take, licks that you can say play over 1 chord, connect them to licks that you can play over a 4 chord, and then the 5 chord, and then build a whole solo, right? But what's interesting is you took a riff from one of your courses and built a song around it. So I think that's actually very cool. I personally really loved the song. Talk to that. What course was, what song are we going to play for them? What excerpt? What's the name of it?
Let's do, they still have working titles on them, which actually match the titles of the course.
Yeah.
Let's do 6 to 1, and that comes from 30 Funk Rhythms You Must Know. All of the riffs did except for one, and actually that riff is going to show up in 30 Funk Rock Riffs.
Came from 30 Funk Rhythms You Must Know?
Yes.
Okay. So, Tommy, just to give you a little time to call up, what's the name of those?
6 to 1.
6 to 1. Do you want to play the riff from the course, have Tommy stream it? How do you...
Well, let's check it.
I want to show them the lick as you taught it.
Let's do it in stages.
Okay.
So here's the riff raw. Right. Me sitting down, getting ready to do the course.
As you taught it on the course, right?
Hopefully. Can't exactly guarantee that.
Tommy, are you able to stream the audio from that lesson?
Yeah, you wanna test Chris's accuracy? I'll play it for you right now.
Oh.
Okay, do that. Very good. So that's actually the actual lesson.
Yes. Yep.
Hey, Allie, could you publish that link for folks? You could. This way, I would love for people to go check out the actual lesson. They could learn that lick if they wanted to. We'll make it free, and kind of show how, like, some people say, okay, cool riff. What the heck would I do with that thing? Okay.
And that would be one that somebody definitely would ask that question.
Right.
It's a little off kilter.
Right.
It has.
And it feels like it's,
It's very syncopated.
what are
It
you gonna
has
do with
parallel
it,
harmony in it that doesn't make
Yeah.
immediate sense and
Right.
stuff like that. But look, songwriters will tell you all the time that they pull from a collection of tidbits that they record or write down or whatever they do, and that's how sometimes they put together the beginnings or a whole song. And when this opportunity came about to do this project, that's exactly what I did. And the first thing I thought of were all of those funk rhythm pieces I had that I did for that course.
Yeah.
No,
see, I think this is so cool. So, Allie says she's going to go and put a link up to that actual lesson. Mm-hmm. I love that course myself.
I really like doing that one.
Some of them are a little, difficult for me. Okay. But, and that would be a lick that I would say, what the heck would I do with that lick? Really, So, Tommy, you have those tracks, right? Play this song that's built around that riff.
to open up my eyes, see what's in the skies.
So, I know you probably didn't want us to even play that much.
No,
but
that's fine. No, you should. Everybody should hear
I will tell you
Tip-On's
that
voice.
I've heard these tunes, and they're fantastic. And it blew my mind because you even told me that. You said you would have, if you heard this, you wouldn't think that I had
I told you I
anything to
made
do
a
with it.
record, and I said to you,
Yeah.
it's not what you think. And you looked at me and was like, what does that even mean? What I meant was, it's not, I would think that,
Right.
and that's fair, that you would think, hey, I made a record. Oh, it's probably a trio quartet, Wayne Krantz type of Mike Stern record, this and that.
Volume 10 plus, but first of all, your vocalist is awesome. The tunes are, just really, really well orchestrated and arranged. The musicianship is killer. So, and it, it's not like I can even send you any place where you can buy this thing. So this is not gratuitous, advertising.
Oh, no.
It's just really cool. And,
We're not
and
there
another, kudos to you, man. Okay, you want to answer a couple of questions?
Yeah.
Okay.
Shoot.
We're
Oh,
This
boy.
is funny.
Here we go.
Were you able to guess all the mystery players in the latest TrueFire contest?
Did you pick that one on purpose?
The answer, I'll answer this for him. No, because
No.
he probably
Here it
didn't
comes.
even see the darn contest.
When
This
you're-
is a
when-
busy cat. Okay, this is a busy.
Thank you.
All right, I just had to throw that.
What
dig
was
in.
it? What was the thing?
We had for the entire month of October, we did Rocktoberfest.
Uh-huh.
And
I've done some
every
stuff like that.
day we would show kind of a silhouette and a little bit of music, like a YouTube video, but you couldn't tell who was playing.
I'll tell you right now, I wouldn't have answered 85% of those. I just don't have that skill.
Yeah.
My wife can hear a song from 3 miles away and hear the guy hiccup, and she'll go, "Oh, it was that," because she knows she loves
Yeah.
lyrics, and I don't hear that. And then when I see that, the little images,
Yeah.
I was never good at that game. Whenever
Yeah.
games those come in, my sons would always,
So
you know,
the answer
beat
to
me in
this
all that stuff.
question is no.
No.
Okay. Are there any Jesse Johnson licks from, what is it, Morris Derry and the Time era on the course?
On funk rock riffs.
Yeah.
No, man, but that is wow. I wish I was talking to you when I was organizing that stuff. That is no dig on the Time whatsoever. No, it just didn't. There is a Prince lick though, riff. There is a Prince riff on there, but and I did dig deep, and I have to apologize to the Time guys. Maybe on volume 2, I will get that. I'll get that rectified.
Oh, he'll find it. Believe me, there's a lot. We've got big plans for a lot of other courses, but that's a great suggestion.
It is.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
Why do you think most guitar players neglect rhythm, rhythm guitar practicing? And any suggestions for building a bigger rhythm vocabulary?
Well, I'm going to slightly disagree. Okay, I'll answer your question without disagreeing with it. I think a lot of guitar players focus on rhythm, and I think a lot of young guitar players do. I tell you what, just tune into this Instagram channel called Pick Up Jazz, and you'll see fantastic young guitar players playing insanely good rhythm guitar. But there is definitely a gap in plenty of other players. Why? I don't know. I mean, because when you start digging into playing rhythm guitar, it's a different thing than soloing. It's fun. It's something that you have to put 100% of yourself into. I don't know what people's, I'm not going to judge what people like and what they don't like. And some guys just want to solo, and that's fun too. There's all sorts of adventure that comes with it. But to get a rhythm guitar vocabulary going, learn tunes, but listen to guys who are great rhythm guitar players. Start with a guy like Keith Richards. And just dig into those Rolling Stone riffs, or if you want to go down the road of funk stuff, start with the early James Brown records and Jimmy Nolan. Honestly, for me, my start, besides the progressive rock stuff, which I don't suggest starting that way, especially with an older brother over your shoulder yelling at you, is Jimmy Page, Led Zeppelin riffs. There is so much to those tunes, whether he's playing chord stuff or single note stuff. Whichever music you like. Learn tunes and those groups and those artists and play with the records, CDs, files, whatever. And then go play with people. Go out and play with people. So as digitally connected as we are, you still have to play music with people to get good at it. So apps are awesome. All the stuff we do here is awesome. But at the end of the day, you have to go play with people. And that's the single best thing to do.
That's great, man. We have a question, what kind of guitar is that? And we're going to do a gear segment towards the end of this. So we'll answer that later.
It's a Downs guitar.
Okay, Downs guitar. What course of these 39 courses was the most fun to make and the most challenging to make? And those might be two different courses.
To be honest with you, it's not because I just did it. I was just saying this to Tommy, we were talking about yesterday. I had so much fun making trading solos, funk, because I've never done anything like that here. I feel like when you see that, and I think every artist who's come here to do them will tell you the same thing. This is the most personal platform that TrueFire has for an artist to make a course. You're going to play with me. And when I'm playing, I'm playing. I don't have anything written down. I'm not worrying about transcribing it. Sorry for the guy who's going to. I played me. And I had a lot of fun doing that. We just, Tommy ran the track and I just did what I do. I improvised and I just played it with no preconception about anything. So you really got 100%.
And you're trading. Well, actually, we're going to talk about that next. We could talk about it now. You're trading choruses. You just said get out there and play live. Well, you want to do that as often as possible. This tries to, and I think it does a good job, kind of simulate that experience. You're going to get up, you might play with another guitar player. Certainly at the jam, he's going to take a couple courses, then you're going to take a couple courses, right? So we were going to do trading solos third, but we might as well talk about it right now.
Sure.
If that's okay. Tommy, is that cool with you? We're going to go out of order a little bit.
Okay. What track do you want to do?
Well, let's give them an example of how this works. First off, the format, how many tracks are on Trading Solos? There's 5, right?
5.
Okay.
Right.
And for each track, before you trade solos, you're going to talk about what?
I will have you listen to the track with me. We'll listen to a little chunk of it, and I'll give you some insight as to what I'm hearing and what you should be hearing, listening for when you're playing. Then I'm going to show you 3 licks that I'm going to incorporate into my improvising, and that you could, of course, feel free to use in yours, but also just to give you an idea for some stuff that you may play in your solos. And then I'm going to give you 3 comping ideas. And again, for you to comp behind me, and then I'm also going to play behind you. So I'm giving you all the ingredients for us to have a really fun jam session. And then we roll right into it. We literally play together. Track runs. I'll take the first solo. You take the next chorus. Take the first chorus. You take the next chorus. And we go back and forth 3 times, 6 choruses. So I'll solo. Then I will play rhythm behind you. And then when I'm soloing, I'm hoping you'll play rhythm behind me. And, we have this back and forth that playing with people.
Right. And it's sort of like it's like a flight simulator. It's designed to simulate what it would be like at the jam, or, jamming with your buddies, or
Right.
trading solos with another player.
Uh-huh.
So could we pick a track and, invite people to jam along with you now?
Okay. All right.
Show 'em how it
we
works.
actually opened up when I was playing before. That was one of the tracks. That one's
Yeah.
called JB&D. It's
Okay.
it's a total James Brown vibe, playing in D. But let's get something. Let's listen to
So
something.
let's do this. I mean, seriously, like if you're out there, if you have a guitar handy, pick the guitar up. Okay.
Okay.
I told you I was going to do this
I
goofy thing.
know you did.
Okay.
I know you did.
Pick the guitar up. Can we, Tommy, just roll the track and you explain the track so they know the changes in the key and all that, right?
Well, let's do one where we don't have changes. I purposely put a lot of them more than not, to put just 1 chord jams for
Fine.
2 reasons. So people
Fine.
have fun to dig in without thinking about it. But I show you tricks, and things that you should know and think about to keep 1 chord jams interesting and logical, and like not to be one cacophonous
That's great.
mess.
Okay, can we roll the track and have you talk over, let folks hear it a little bit?
You want to do that JB one, or you want to do a
Whatever one
different
you
one? Why don't
want.
we do the one so we can hear another track? Why don't we do
Okay.
the one that's in Tommy? Let's do this slow jam in 6/8, the A minor. It's an A minor for you out there who are gonna go along with Brad's experiment. So let's listen to the track. And
Chris was a little like, I don't know that this is going to,
Let's
just
do-
grab your guitars. Let's jam with Chris.
grab your guitars and let's
Trade solos with Chris.
So that's me and Steve Jenkins playing together. And you hear that? That was the 4th time around. So I do everything in sets of 4. So that's how we're marking things. And it's in A minor. It's in 6/8. And as I say in the chorus, forget that I even said that. You could still just relax and feel as relaxed as you would in 4/4. This one is definitely the more down, probably the slowest tempo. And it's meant to be, as all of them, wide open for us to play. And, I will solo. I'll play some comping ideas, and then we go back and forth. So let's say the track is running. This would be an example of that. So I will come in.
Okay, could you just show them a few chord voicings or moves so
Sure.
that they can jam along with the track?
Absolutely. So
And then just one soloing inside, okay?
okay.
And then we'll do
Well, if you want, you could play with that riff, which is right here in root position minor pentatonic, and it's just, whoops. That's it. I'm just going back and forth, so you'd be locking up with Steve and myself, which Steve played everything. Steve Jenkins played all the bass lines. And then, you're getting that nice flat third based dyad, inferring A minor 7. You want to play something counter to that? I give you some ideas in the chorus. One of them is playing on the top strings, playing a D sus2, and you get. Something like that where you're delivering sus chord harmony, when using sus2 and D7 sus4 here. So you're giving these minor 7, 11 sounds. As for taking a solo over that, this is A minor, lean towards Dorian. And, this was the part I had a lot of fun with doing the chorus. I didn't have to overthink this. I just hit play and we just, hit record and I just went for it. So, let's say, thinking about the track, I would come in with using a lot of space. Let's get the bridge pickup. Just trying to make some statements that are going to start getting you to think in sets of 4. Well, you know what? Let's run the track. Watch. I'll show you what I'm talking about. Now, this is where I would have you play. Just going to switch my sounds. I'll comp behind you while you solo. Say, time is up. I'm back in. I'll start comping again from there. And we'll have this back and forth conversation. And
Okay.
it's fun. Like I said, I went for it on those things, so I really started digging
So
in.
now there's at least one guy out there that has his Strat ready.
Oh, really? Okay.
Okay.
Right on, man.
So could we roll the track, Tommy, maybe just a couple of minutes?
Sure.
And trade solos with at least Al. I know Al has his Strat out there.
All right,
Thanks,
Al. You have made Brad's day. So I will take the. Al, if he's in real time or close to it, do you want me to solo first, or do you want to solo first?
You solo first.
Okay, fine. Brad has made your decision. It's his game. Okay, Al. Here we go. Hey, Al, you're up. Keep going, Al. I'm going to give you some more. One more, Al. All right, here I come.
did it. Al, thank you very much. Okay.
Yeah, Al.
A round of applause for Al. Come on now. All right.
Brad's your biggest fan.
So, of course, this broadcast goes on demand. You can jump back in and, when you have a guitar and do that. But I want to tell you the 5 tracks are extremely jammable tracks. You're going to have a blast jamming over them. And, the insight that Chris passes on, some of the chord voicing, some of the rhythm patterns, tons of those soloing ideas. I think you're going to have a lot of fun with this course. And in so doing, also learn a ton of stuff. And this is one of our newer formats. As Chris said, the artists we work with just love the format,
Exactly.
And we've just launched one so far.
Corey's
Corey's
got a Texas Blues. Yeah.
And feedback to that's been phenomenal.
See, I do read the emails.
So you do. Okay. You got me there. I want you to know where people are, kind of chiming in from here.
Oh, you mean location? Yeah. I love that.
So all over. First, I want to shout out to Gilbert Davis, better known around here as Gadlaw.
Yeah. What's up, Gil?
How are you, man? Gadlaw's, one of our, longtime supporters. Definitely a big friend of the Fire, and psyched to see you on there. But we've got friends of the Fire from Norway, Poland, Virginia, Quebec, Northern Ireland, Ontario, Canada, Boston, California, Munich, Pennsylvania, Austin, Cape Town, South Africa, Arcadia, Connecticut, Kentucky, and Belgium.
Excellent.
I love this. I mean, it's just thank you all so much for tuning in.
Especially some of the people that are up a little late.
To these things. It just amazes me. It's like music, man. It's a universal language, and it just thrills us to. I can't even find the words to tell you how that warms our heart to be able to interact with all of you all around the world. Okay, so let's talk about Take 5 legato, right?
Mm-hmm.
I know for myself, the legato technique is extremely challenging. And by the way, one more shout out. I see that Jeff Sheets, our director of education, is tuned in as well here. Okay.
Mr. Sheets.
Hey, Jeff, what's cooking?
Hi, Jeff.
He's making sure you're staying on your game there, Chris.
Yes,
Okay?
he does. Yeah.
Okay, so legato, it's a technique we would all love to be better at, or to even develop, rudimentary skills. What is legato?
Simple definition. Playing legato is when you're playing smooth and flowing music, whether it be single note or harmonic or both, smooth and flowing. Legato technique specifically, especially when it comes to us, is hammer-ons, pull-offs, and slides. And they allow us to sound smooth and flowing.
So what techniques, well, I know the answer to this, so I'm just asking you to pull it out of you. You talk about 3 individual techniques that you sort of need to learn and then combine to create a good legato technique. What are those 3 techniques?
I focused on the 3 big ones, the ones I was just talking about, hammer-ons, pull-offs, and slides. I kept it right there because it can get overwhelming. You can keep going. You start opening up the subject of tapping, and that's a subject we will get more into in later Take 5s. But for this one, I put you right into the heart of it right from the beginning,
So give us an example of each of those techniques individually for, folks that might not know that.
When you play a hammer-on, that touch, that contact, you're going to strike, you're going to pick, attack one string, maybe. I mean, you could do them without this. But the point is that the fretting hand is going to apply enough pressure that the note or the string starts to vibrate as if it was picked. But the attack is different. So here's two notes played picked notes. Here's the second note as a hammer-on. So the hammered note has a softer attack to it, and that starts to contribute to the smoother sound. And then the flow, you take the picking element out of, and you just do this, it sounds like it's smoother and flowing. We can call it the opposite, the pull-off. So hammer-ons go up, they go ascending. They're ascending ideas. Pull-offs are descending ideas. So I'll play a note, and then I will literally pull my finger off. And really, we should call them pull-downs, because what you don't want to do is pull up, because they sound like this. That attack was a little too weak, and the note that followed was a little low in volume. But if I pull off with a nice strong pull-off towards the floor, then I have a nice even, nice even volume, nice even dynamic between the two notes. So both of them require, this is kind of ironic. Both of them require force, but with a light touch. So I show you, and I talk about that a lot in the course about how to walk that line there, to find that fine line and deal with it. And then slides is a different thing, but it gives you that smooth and flowing effect. Sliding is, you pick a note and you move it while the string is still vibrating, and it could go up, it can go down, it can go in directions, multiple directions, as long as that note rings. Go, so sliding is probably the most slippery of the three, and it will get you like super legato sounds. So all three come together and make the basis of legato for us, legato techniques for us to sound more legato. Because remember, legato is a concept. It's not specifically only these physical things that we do. Legato is a way that music can sound, and we do it by way of these legato techniques: hammer-ons, pull-offs, and slides.
Play a couple of legato lines for everyone.
It also can get nested into something like this. The legato element in there, it wouldn't sound like that unless I had that. So that's a lot of picking with legato. Here's straight up legato. Couldn't resist. So, smooth and flowing. If I pick things like that, look, I don't mean to put a negative connotation on that. Picking's great. If I picked a lot of stuff like that, first of all, I can't. Second, I prefer the sound. I use more legato because I love the sound of it. But man, I sure do love when John McLaughlin plays, or Pat Martino, fellow TrueFire brethren. Man, when those guys pick, it's amazing. But at the same time, I love Alan Holsworth just as much. And sometimes, he doesn't pick all that much. He's got that left hand. He had that left hand that was just devastating. So, yeah, legato's great.
The point, I think a lot of people want to learn, have a blazing legato technique because it's blazing, But you made a really good point, which is, it's a musical expression.
Sure.
Like
that's what it is first
music.
and foremost.
Well, right. It's not a guitar thing. It's a sound that a composer wants you to play, right?
Sure.
But the format, the curricular format for the course is a take 5. And what Chris does is gives you a much, broader and deeper, professor of the deeper, primer on those 3 techniques, hammers, pull-offs, and slides, then shows you how to combine them and so it gives you a really solid primer on achieving a legato technique. And then there are 5, thus the Take 5, performance studies starting from like basic to more advanced. It's designed to be kind of an accelerated way to get people up and running with the technique. So would you do me a favor, pick any one of those performance studies, any level, and play it for them?
Okay.
Well, not for them, for everybody.
All right. Let's see, one that I can play without the chart and be able to get through it, and also, yeah, okay. How about number 2? Let me get the sound up for that, which I believe is pretty close to what I just had.
So you're dialing in. Everyone sees you, shoot over to or you're dialing in effects on your laptop.
No, actually, the laptop is controlling where the sounds are coming from, which is Fractal Audio Axe-Fx 3.
Right. So we'll do that in the gear segment, right?
Yeah, we'll talk about
I
the
just
downs
wanted people to
and
know
the Axe-Fx. Yeah.
Why you were okay.
Yeah, laptop is telling it what
All
to
right.
do.
Tommy, do you have this track?
Okay, this will be a little scary, but let's do it. I actually remember that.
So which one was that? 3?
2.
2.
Level 2.
Okay.
Yeah, level 2. Was that 2?
So you've included,
Oh, okay.
5 of these, which applies all the principles from, that you explained and taught in the primer.
Yes.
Okay, cool. Okay, let's talk about gear. Let's talk about gear.
Okay.
Start with that guitar. A lot of folks are asking about it.
Okay. Let's. I probably should have looked at this before I played that track, but this guitar is made by Kieran Downs in Portland, Oregon. Name of the company is Downs Guitars, Downes. I literally
hold it out front so the guys can get a good pan of that, if you would. Kieran
makes headless guitars 95% of the time. There is a 5% of a headstock, and that's going to come soon in the form of a Chris Buono signature model, but that is a different conversation. So the shape is unique. It's his shape, and it's very, very cool. It's different, but the most important part is it fits very well when you sit with it. His guitars are extremely light, and you can see they're kind of angled up, the way the neck is. This one is extra special because this is a prototype. This is called a 101, let me get this right, modular pickguard system, MPS, 101 MPS. So what happens is, I played this guitar for trading solos in Take 5. I played the same guitar for 30 Funk Rock Riffs, you must know, but this was the pickguard that was on it. So all I did was loosen the strings. You can take them out and still use the same strings. I just loosened the hex keys up here, hex screws. And I literally changed this. Jeff, the guys in the back, not Jeff, Tommy, watched me in the back, and it took me 9 seconds to take this off, take out the RJ12 connector, which is basically a phone jack, and or an Ethernet-looking jack, and plug the other one in. Boom, magnets hold it down, put the strings back on, and I go from one to the other. So this
is this prototype the only guitar that does
this
that?
Is the only one that is in existence. This is he's been talking about this idea for a while. He's been trying it. This was this is, he's at the stage where, I put the plan into practice. And I was so excited about it. I said, hey, you know what? I got these courses coming up. It would be great if I had these options where I didn't have to fly with multiple guitars, and also at the same time maybe depend on guitars down here that I don't play. They're not my guitars set up the way I want them. This was the ultimate solution. I had my one gig bag, and I had 2 pickguards with me. One with you just saw with the 2 humbuckers, and one with 3 single coils. And this one. And it was all in my gig bag, and that was that. And flying a guitar these days has actually become a little easier. So, I can't say enough about it. It plays great. I mean, I know these instruments fairly well, and now I have this. This is such a huge plus, and it works. I know the guys have tried this. I've had a couple guys contact me saying that, they've thought about this idea, they tried it, or they've heard about it and stuff. Kieran did it. It exists. And
so once again, and slowly, and maybe even spell the name of the maker.
Downes, Downes. There is a downesguitars.com, Facebook and Instagram and stuff like that. You'll probably see my hands and face around there a bit. And 30 Funk Rock Riffs was done with it, but so was 30 Funk Rhythms, you must know. It made an appearance in 60 Guitar Techniques, electric guitar techniques, you must know. And it was also on the cover and used throughout the production of my How to Play Outside Guitar Licks, the Symmetrical Diminished book for Hal Leonard. So I've used it quite a bit. John Shannon's playing them. The guys from Maris Pedals are freaking out over one that Kieran sent out to them. They're going to start seeing them in their pedal demos, and they've been taking it to shows. It's a very exciting time for Downes. There's a lot of cool stuff happening.
And price range?
Well, this guy, I don't know, I guess he's still in that range. But the guitars that he has out there on Reverb, they're in a range of, let's say, the mid-2s to low 3s. And that's pretty extraordinary for a guitar that's built literally by someone's hands. Mm-hmm. And also unique design and this and that. It's great. It's a great situation. Everybody who's played them, I've been showing people.
But do you like the guitar?
I do. I like the guitar. I like the guitar for many reasons, and I people know I'm pretty deep into the gear thing, and I'm very picky about what I use, and and I'm very excited about the signature model. But again, that's another conversation. There is one in existence like this one. I have it at my house. You're not going to see it yet, but we're getting there.
All right, so that's the guitar, and now take us through the whole chain.
There's only one thing in the chain because it is the chain. It recreates the entire chain. I'm plugged into a Fractal Audio Axe-FX 3. It is the latest model of the Axe-FX, and it turned the fractal world and the modeling world upside down because it was such a huge upgrade from the XL and XL Plus units that were out for about 7 or 8 years previous to that, and that in itself was a big one. But the Axe-FX 3 runs on a new overall platform called Aries. So they've moved on from Quantum to Aries. And everything to me sounds more open, but besides that, the hardware differences, the actual I/O on the front is organized in a way that for me, I've been using it since 4 versions ago, and it is much easier to use. But most importantly, it sounds great. It sounds amazing. And I'll be honest with you, when I first got it, I was a little overwhelmed. It's a deep piece of gear, and you kind of have to start over if you don't use. There is ways you don't have to, but I was looking at the situation where I kind of need to start over, and I needed presets for this, and I was freaking out. And then the great Matt Bacone, the Fractal legend, he's like, hey, you know what? Look up, and I know Buddy. He said, look up Buddy Gill and check out what he's doing. So I went to austinbuddy.com, and what Buddy does is create preset packs. And this one is loaded, the one here at TrueFire is loaded with these preset packs. He calls them naked amps. He takes all the amps in the Axe-FX, strips them down to nothing. There's not like the presets that you get with it. I mean, they're cool, but you don't have to deconstruct anything. He went through and he gave you all the amps in there naked. He just breaks them down, tunes them, puts the right cabinet on them, gives you a little reverb, an option to have a little delay, and drive pedals. That's it. It is the best experience I've ever had using an Axe-FX. I put together every sound for these courses in the 3 with the Austin Buddy Naked Amps tone pack for Axe-FX 3, and it was the the best, most fun I've had doing that. Even the jam tracks are unique from the track sounds are unique from the ones that I play in the course. So great combination, really, really good. And then from there, I mean, it goes to Tommy because XFX is emulating everything. My amp, my cabinet, mics, room, the whole bit. So very excited to have that stuff down here. And
So
thank you.
you're dialing up the tone with XFX.
Yeah.
You're sending it direct to Tommy.
Yeah. Or
the board here.
Right.
Right. And now explain the role of the laptop.
The laptop is simply running XFX, Edit 3. It's just, it's just a controller. It's an editor for the XFX. But it definitely makes programming easier and managing presets and banks. I took the files from my XFX 3 at home, just put them in the laptop, and then I had the XFX 3 that's here waiting for me at the hotel. And then Sunday night, the day before I flew in for the first day of shooting, I just connected it up, dumped my banks in there, confirmed that they were there, and I practiced. Because this is also an interface. So I hooked this up into Ableton Live, and this is the way I recorded the stuff. But now I'm in my hotel room with this and my laptop and my headphones, and I'm playing, full-on stereo final mix tracks with the sound. So the laptop is controlling it, but also can be connected to it to be an interface and used for production.
Awesome. And when you play out, what's your rig for that? Also XFX or?
Sometimes when I was on the road a lot with Kirsch Calais for 3 years, I was in his touring band in the Northeast in North America. I was using the XFX because it was just so easy. At first, I was using pedals and road cases, and it was killing me. It was killing the budget, and that's actually how I came to using an XFX. Live though, it depends on what it is. I have an organ trio. And with that, it's called CB3 with Tobias Ralph and Ben Stivers. Throughout the summer, we did a residency on the beach in Asbury Park. It's called Jams on the Sand, pedals. Because I needed stuff in there that is just so left field. And, I'm trying to get Cliff to put those things in the XFX. But
like what?
I use a lot of glitch effects, and that's just not in there at all. Yeah. And I use... I'm very particular about my synth sounds, so I use a Pigtronics Mothership 2, and I can't wait to get a Maris Enzo. But these are things that are just not in there. So, for this application, the XFX was, end all be all. I couldn't imagine doing this stuff without it, but in that particular situation, and then with Red Right Return, the stuff we were listening to before, that's a record, and I had The Sky's the Limit, so. And the studio we went to had just tons of vintage amps. They were right there in front of me. So it was a pleasure to go through that collection. I mean, I recorded out of a high-watt D103 head and cabinet, little Silvertone amp, and there was this other one, I forget the name of it, but it looked like a toaster, and it sounded unbelievable. My Deluxe, my 64 Deluxe, and they're right there. I mean, I think this thing sounds great. But real amps sound great too. So Red Right Return was recorded with all real amps mic'd with, mics, great mics and stuff, and a great engineer in a great room and stuff like that. And I brought all my effects. The pictures from it, if you go on our Instagram page, Red Right Return Music, you'll see a lot of pictures, and you'll continue to see them as we go through the stages of making the record. You can see a lot of pictures from the production of it, and some of them show the guitars I brought and all the effects.
Very cool. Well, we've gone over, but totally cool. People still keen on.
We have one question we didn't answer.
Yes.
What was the most difficult TrueFire course that I ever did?
That's right.
That's right. I didn't forget you.
I think I know the answer to this. Does it have a number in the title?
No.
Oh. Okay.
No, it does not. No. Really? Which one? A number inside the title. So that's one of the 50s or 30s. Which one did you think I was going to say?
Rhythm, the 40-day rhythm guitar camp.
Oh,
9 hours of content.
but that was a whole different animal.
That took you
though.
like 10 months to do.
But that was I was shooting on my own. You know what I remembered? We were talking about this last night. I remember the fact that had 2 cameras. So I had to figure out a way to, and that was way back.
That was the old days.
There was so much technology that doesn't exist today that would have made that so much better. And we tried.
So what was the most challenging for you?
All in all, the one that took the most work before, during, and even after, in the jam. In the jam. That was a huge undertaking. A lot of planning on our parts, a lot of coordinating. And it was hard to do. It was fantastic to spend that time with Keith Carlock and Steve Jenkins. I was so glad you guys got to meet them. But man, you got to really appreciate the In the Jam series, especially when you know how much work goes into it. I mean, whatever is going on here, it was this times 3, but really more than that. There was all this. And
much more. And
never
if you
saw
think it's challenging for you, imagine us with all those cameras, the post-production, the syncing, everything. Meanwhile, I'm glad you brought that up because that is clearly one of our most popular, platforms and products. It's also, I don't know anything else that's out there like it. And
There's not.
I'm really happy to tell you, if you look at this studio, and you can't really tell with the view you have, but we optimized this studio for basically filming in the jams. You notice how wide it is? Remember the old studio, kind of what we had to do to get everyone organized?
Right.
This has In the Jam in mind. And next year, now that we've got our control room, we've got, we're going to be doing a lot more of those in the jams. And trading solos is really like a companion to In the Jam.
Yeah.
Kind of a different approach, touches on some of the things. But that's interesting to hear you say that. And as you do say that, I'm flashing back to that session. That was really something. That was crazy.
I've played with Keith. I played with both of those guys for many, many years.
Jenkins,
individually.
he's a phenomenal bass player. And, if you're watching this, man, and I remember he came in kind of last minute, had to learn everything. And
he did.
Super sweet cat, absolutely, just a trooper all the way and a great player.
And Steve has played on a lot of my TrueFire courses. Almost.
He played on these, right? Didn't
every single one of these, Steve is playing the tracks on.
Keith Carlock is a monster. I mean, the guy is just amazing. He's like my guitar hero. And he's a drummer,
Right. When I knew that Keith was going to do it, I was so excited to tell you because I know how much of a Steely Dan fan you are, and I couldn't wait to tell you that here he comes.
Yeah,
he's going to...
Unbelievable.
But I sat next to him. I sat in the middle, and Keith was to my right, and Steve was directly to my left. He was square on me. I played with Keith off and on for years, and we used to play in New York a lot before he got the Steely Dan gig. Which, by the way, we were having pizza. We were doing a record for a Persian artist. Her name is Hale, and we were down in Soho, just this random pizza place, and a mouthful of pizza. He looks at me, and goes, "Hey, man, I got the gig," and I'm like, "Oh, cool." He always gets gigs. Like, with who? And he's like, the Dan. Steely Dan. I got the gig. And I'm thinking, like, I didn't know that Donald Fagen had been coming down to the 55 to sit in with him when Wayne Krantz was doing every Thursday night back then. And I guess that's how it started. And next thing you know, he's like, so I'm out of here. So luckily Rodney Holmes took over that band. Yeah. But we used to do a lot of gigs together in New York, and then, of course, didn't see him for a bit. But the cool thing was to sit next to him. I always, been on stage in front of him. Yeah. Or in sessions, blockaded from him and stuff. But this time, man, that guy has a sound that's so huge and so thunderous. And his pocket is, I always say, it's like bouncing on clouds. No. And to sit next to that and just to feel the thunder coming off of those drums.
I'll tell you, as big of a fan of Steely Dan as I am, and the guitar players that they have, and, it's impossible for me not to have my eyes like stuck on Keith for the whole, it's just amazing. Anyway, what do you have happening? Anything you want to plug? Now's your time to plug it.
Okay. Well, besides all the awesome things going on with Downs and that signature model coming out, the two bands I mentioned before, I have CB3, which it's not about my initials; it's about the B3 in there. That's why I put a lowercase c in the logo. CB3 is an organ trio that features Ben Stivers on organ, and his left hand is absolutely devastating. It's awesome. It just sounds so good. And Tobias Ralph on drums. And, those guys combined have played with everybody from the Bee Gees to Adrian Belew and a lot in between. And so I am definitely the man trying to keep up with those two. But me and Ben write the tunes, and we try to make them fun to blow over, but first and foremost, fun for people to listen to. It's an organ trio. It's supposed to be, fun, good time music. So we did a residency this summer. We played 11 weeks straight, opening up for national acts all over the country that came to Asbury Park to play on the beach next to the convention center, and it was fantastic. So next stage for us is to record a record. We're going to do it in Brooklyn. I forgot the name of it. I think it's Frog something. I'm sorry. But we're looking there. That's probably where we're going to go because they record to tape. And that guy's got it dialed in. And we want the sound to be that. So record coming from those guys. We're going to do that at the end of the year or early next year. Red Right Return is a project that I've been working off and on for many, many years. I've tried it a couple times. And just when I thought that I had tried everything, an incredible opportunity came into my my existence by way of the wonderful Silvergold family. Alex Silvergold is a 19-year-old drummer who is devastating. I mean, the kid is amazing beyond his years, and he's going to Berkeley, and he's going to do very, very good things. And I'm lucky to have had an opportunity to work with him. So, together with his father, we embarked on making a record. And at first, we were going to make a blow-in record. Just get out there, get some great guys, and come in and write some tunes and just go for it. But we took a left turn and decided to make an album. Get a vocalist and take these tunes that I had from the Red Right Return project and bring them to life. Make a record. So when that came about, I had to get a singer, and I had to get somebody to write lyrics. New lyrics and stuff. And the number one choice I had, thankfully, said yes. Her name is Tipon Pasuk. But her out there as Siren Tip. She's a ground-up artist. She is born and raised, I think she was, Tipon, I hope I get this right. I think she was born in Thailand, but she was raised in Sweden. Either one of the two, whatever the order is, she spent a lot of time in both. She speaks both languages fluently. English is her third language, but her voice is gorgeous. And so she came in and wrote the lyrics, wrote the melodies, worked with the arrangement with me, made it not sound so much like Close to the Edge. Because Red Right Return is progressive math funk. And I know that sounds kind of weird, but when you hear it, as Brad has, it's not something that you could expect to hear, especially from me. So here we are. We're doing the record. Evan Marion played bass, which we were very excited about, and Justin Stanton from Snarky Puppy played keyboards. So the five of us came together and made, I think, a really great record. So Nick Hart is mixing it now, and then we're going to master it and make it look all pretty and get it out there. And we're very excited about putting this music out there. It's unique stuff, and it's stuff I've worked very hard on. And Red Right Return, for you boating people, because I know Brad knows what it is. That's a term that all guys driving a boat know that they need to keep an eye on, where the buoy is and and this and that. That was something my father said to me when we used to go out on our just father and son rides on the boat down the Petiticonk in a Brick. After a long day of work, he would look at me, come on, let's go. And that always meant, let's go to the boat. And on the way back, he would always just say that to me along with other things and this and that. But it's just something that stuck in my head. And it seemed like a good title for the project because it always, no matter how complex that music is, it always makes its way back to a home. So you'll see, odd time signature, P-Funk meets Yes, meets Screaming Headless Torsos, meets The Police. with a lot of
I
effects.
love it.
So, and with Siren Tip singing, I mean, yeah, pinch me.
So shout out your website.
ChrisBuono.com. www.chrisbuono.com. Buono.
Spell it slowly, please, because people get that your last name. Spell it.
I know it is an adventure. Buono. And you can find me on Facebook. We have a band page. Actually, I have a band page thanks to Brad's son, Zach. He started for me years ago. And thanks, Zach. And yeah, there's a band page up there for me on Facebook. I have an Instagram. So does Red Right Return and CB3. CB3 Oregon Trio Music. That's how you can find everything for that. And Red Right Return Music. That's how you can find
have a mail list or something. Folks, in other words,
on the
they
website,
can sign up and you'll keep them advised about all the cool things.
I try. I do better with the social media way of doing it. But yes, I have a mailing list that's actually powered by TrueFire's Mail Dog service. So yeah, you can find me on all the usual places except for Twitter. I'm not good at it. I never got into it. Sorry.
I want to thank everybody for tuning in and sticking with us, even
Thank
though
you.
we ran, over. You
got a
did a
plane to
great
catch.
job, man. This was a real pleasure for us. Would you play us out? Can you run one more track and just play us out?
Yeah. Hey, Tommy, why don't you
And
play
guys, TrueFire.com
the fusion track.
/live. If you stay tuned to that, we've got a couple more broadcasts coming up very shortly. We've got one coming in from Amsterdam, actually, I believe Sunday night with JP. And then Ariana Cap, I think, shortly follows.
It's a couple days. Yeah.
So thank you a million from wherever you happen to be in the world for supporting TrueFire, for all your kind words, and for, spending the last hour and a half with us. Chris, it's all yours, man.